The drama surrounding Jake Paul's preparation for Anthony Joshua has quietly shifted from spectacle to something far more unsettling. And the deeper this training camp unfolds, the clearer it becomes that this is no longer just another calculated influencer gamble. What initially looked like a bold crossover experiment is now exposing a brutal reality that Jake Paul may not have fully reckoned with until his body began showing the evidence. Bruised eyes, swollen features, and whispers of knockdowns in sparring have transformed the narrative from confidence to confrontation. Not with the cameras, but with the limits of his own durability. Reports emerging from Paul's camp paint a picture of a man stepping into waters far deeper than any he has ever known. Sparring sessions with elite heavyweights like Lawrence Okolie, Jared Anderson, and Frank Sanchez were meant to sharpen him, to simulate the size, power, and reach of Anthony Joshua. Instead, they appear to have delivered a sobering awakening. The visible damage on Paul's face, particularly around the eye, tells a story that footage alone cannot fully explain. In orthodox matchups, repeated blows to the right eye often signal consistent success from a stiff jab, the very weapon Joshua is famous for. That realization alone would be enough to unsettle even seasoned professionals, let alone someone still bridging the gap between celebrity boxing and true heavyweight warfare. Those close to the gym have described this stretch as the toughest period of Jake Paul's fighting life. Not because of exhaustion or conditioning, but because of the sheer disparity in power and timing he's been forced to absorb. Controlled sparring with world-level heavyweights is never gentle, and when even those controlled sessions leave marks this severe, it raises serious questions about what happens when restraint is removed under the lights. Faces do not always tell the full story of sparring rounds, but repeated damage across multiple sessions suggests something deeper than coincidence. This was not one bad day. This was a pattern. Jake Paul has built his boxing career on progressive challenges, carefully chosen opponents, and an ability to learn quickly within defined boundaries. But the names now standing across from him in camp are not there to play roles. They are there to work. Lawrence Okolie is not there to boost Jake's confidence. Jared Anderson is not there to protect him. Frank Sanchez is not there to help him look good for social media. These men hit with intent, even in sparring, because that is the only way they know how to prepare. And when Jake Paul chose to bring them in, he effectively invited reality into the room. There is a growing sense among observers that this camp has been humbling in ways Paul did not anticipate. Going life and death with Tommy Fury was one thing. Being physically overwhelmed by ranked heavyweights is another entirely. Those who have watched the sessions closely believe Paul has been manhandled, not out of malice, but because the physical and technical gulf is impossible to ignore. This is not about toughness or courage. It is about physics, timing, and years spent under elite pressure. Yet there is an uncomfortable duality here. On one hand, this kind of sparring is exactly what someone facing Anthony Joshua should be doing. If you are going to fight a former two-time heavyweight champion with devastating knockout power, you cannot prepare with middling partners. You must face the storm before the storm arrives. On the other hand, learning does not happen instantly. Habits built over years cannot be undone in weeks. Distance control, defensive instincts, and reactions under sustained pressure take time, and there may not be enough of it. Analysts remain divided on what this all truly means. Some argue that taking punishment in camp prevents taking it in the fight, that eating jabs now builds awareness later. Others believe the opposite, that repeated exposure only confirms a flaw that cannot be patched in time. The evidence points in both directions. Jake Paul is trying to solve the problem, but the problem may simply be unsolvable at this level. Anthony Joshua looms over all of this like an immovable presence. His lead hand is not just fast, it is intelligent. His hook is not just powerful, it is timed. Joshua understands range, understands positioning, understands how to break someone down without rushing. This is not a man who needs chaos to win. Against Jake Paul, there will be no psychological hesitation. There will be no fear. Joshua will not walk into the ring wondering if he belongs there. He will walk in knowing exactly who he is facing and exactly what he is capable of doing to him. Some observers have suggested that if Jake Paul can last 3 rounds, it would already feel like a moral victory. That alone tells you how grim the expectations are. The idea that landing a single clean punch could be considered success reveals just how skewed the matchup has become. This is no longer about winning on points or even competing evenly. It is about survival, pride, and proving something intangible. And yet, respect is due. Jake Paul did not have to do this. He could have stayed within safer lanes, continued stacking wins, continued building narratives that favored him. Instead, he chose to test himself against one of the most dangerous archetypes in boxing. That takes nerve, even if it also borders on recklessness. There is something undeniably compelling about watching someone step knowingly into a storm, fully aware of what could happen. Anthony Joshua, for his part, has little left to prove. His legacy is secure. This fight is not about redemption or rankings. It is about opportunity, spectacle, and perhaps a final demonstration of what elite heavyweight power truly looks like. When unleashed on someone from outside the traditional system, critics may call it a cash grab, but few would turn it down if offered the same terms. The most troubling aspect of this entire buildup is how dangerous it feels. This does not resemble an exhibition. It does not resemble controlled chaos. It resembles a real fight with real consequences. Heavyweights do not play boxing. They end nights. And the reality is that no amount of sparring, no matter how intense, can fully replicate the moment when Anthony Joshua decides to step on the gas. As the fight draws closer, speculation will only intensify. Will Jake Paul's belief carry him through longer than expected? Or will this be the moment where belief collides violently with truth? Is he learning exactly what he needs to survive? Or is he discovering too late that some lessons come at an unforgiving cost? And perhaps most importantly, should this fight even be happening? Now it's over to you. Do you think Jake Paul's decision to spar elite heavyweights proves he's taking this seriously, or does it confirm he's walking into something far beyond his control? Can he last longer than expected, or is this destined to end fast and brutally? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you want more deep, dramatic breakdowns of the biggest and most controversial fights in boxing, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what comes next. This story is only getting darker, and the final chapter is approaching fast.